Okay, I've decided to make a second video for the second exercise, the second 3D exercise, rather than putting it all on one video. So in this video we will be creating this three-dimensional object, this chair, using AutoCAD, using some of the basic 3D commands that are available in AutoCAD. So I'm going to set this aside. Again, you can follow along on the handout or watch the video. The handout, let me show one thing about the handout. It's showing this method of creating a new user coordinate system in order to be able to rotate objects about the z-axis. That is a little bit obsolete. You can still do that, as I showed in the last video, but in the later versions of AutoCAD, they've introduced a slightly different system of doing that. The concept is the same, but you don't have to create the coordinate system. AutoCAD does it for you. You have to choose which plane you want to rotate on. So I'll discuss that in a little bit of more detail when we get to it. So here we are. Oops, that's our old object here. I'm going to be drawing here. We're going to create this chair. So I'm going to start with one of the arm pieces, and since I'm going to use the extrude command, it has to be a polyline. So I am going to use the polyline command, PL, or this button right here, and I'm going to create the outline for the object I want to extrude. So I'm going to come back here 8 inches, and then up here 24 inches. And again, you don't have to do exactly what I'm showing here, but something similar or of your own design is fine. And now I want the ends, the tops of the armrest to be rounded, so I'm going to type in A, enter, to get the arc command. And oh, I meant to do this. Oh, that was actually pretty close here. So I'm going to take this line. This last line wasn't a polyline, so I just need to patch it. So for example, if I didn't draw that polyline, I would have just come in here with a line and drawn it up to here and make sure it all comes together. So I'm going to use the trim command to trim that out. And this is a polyline, but this isn't. So we can use the join command. I double click on the polyline and choose join. Now when I double click on a polyline, you automatically start the polyline edit command. Of course, you could also just type in PE or polyline edit. I'm going to click on join, select all the objects I want to join into one piece, enter, and enter again. So now that's one object. So I'm going to use the extrude command here. I have under my visual style manager, I have realistic as the visual style, the current visual style. So that helps us visualize a little better. I'm going to click on this object I want to extrude, and here you go. You see, you can either extrude it downward or upward, and I'm going to extrude it upward 24 inches. Different visual styles would give you different views. There's 2D wireframe, conceptual, hidden, and so on. You know what, maybe I will do conceptual because I like to see the lines, the edges of the shape. Okay, so there's the one object. Now I need to tilt it so that this face is sitting on the ground. In order to do that, if I use just regular rotate command and picked a point on the floor, it's going to rotate about the z-axis, which you can see over here is straight up. So it's going to rotate about the z-axis emanating from the point that I clicked. Right? It's rotating on the ground. about a z-axis. So I need to change where that z-axis is. The method that I used to use is I used to create a user coordinate system. Now AutoCAD will try to do that for you, and most times it's helpful. So I'm going to select this object and started the rotate command and selected the object. Now what I have to keep in mind is I have to visualize where I want my z-axis. If I want to rotate this object so that this face is sitting on the floor, I need to rotate on a z-axis that's in this position, right? Because I want this object to rotate around that z. So if I choose this big square here as my XY plane, then this will be my z. So when I use the rotate command, I need to make sure this square is highlighted. Hope that makes sense. I'm going to show you a couple of different I'm going to show you this in a couple different ways, so hopefully it's clear. I'm going to start the rotate command. I can select any one of these planes to be my XY plane, my temporary XY plane. If I select this one, the Z is a vertical line. The Z is here. But if I choose this plane, that works for me. So I hold my cursor here, make sure that plane is highlighted, and then click here. Now it's rotating about the Z. Okay, it's a little confusing, I think, but you'll get the hang of it. You rotate it 90 degrees, you wait until you're locked into that polar angle, and click. And there you go, you have one armrest ready to go. Then I'm going to use the rectangle command, which isn't here. There it is. And let's see, I'm just going to draw it off to the side. I'm going to draw it 24, 24. And the reason I did that is because I didn't know where my origin was. And that happens a lot when you're in AutoCAD in 3D, because you're spinning around your view a lot. So I'm going to extrude this. EXT is the command. I'm going to extrude this up. What was it? 12 inches. There we go. And I'm going to move it. I'm going to select it by the bottom edge and snap to that corner of the armrest. And let's make sure everything went together well. Alright, by clicking on the object I was able to change where that pivot point was, and I see that everything's coming together well. Alright, now I want to copy this armrest to the other side, so I can use the mirror command. MI, select this object. You'll notice that it works differently. If any of you work with SketchUp, this does not have that feature in SketchUp which is called sticky geometry, where you have one solid and another solid next to each other and they stick together, they remain one. That doesn't work that way in AutoCAD 3D. So I've specified that one object. Now it's asking me for the first mirror line, and I'm just going to click here and here, these two midpoints. Erase source object? No. So it's just like in 2D. Now I'm going to do another rectangle here, also 24 by 24. And this one though, I'm going to extrude 8 inches up. And I want to use the fillet command here to round the corner so it looks like a cushion. This will be the cushion here on the front of the sofa. So let's see, this will be slightly different looking than in the handout. I'm going to try fillet, and I'm going to use a radius, so R, enter, and I'm going to change the radius to 2. And what I'm going to do is click here once, and then it says enter fillet radius. Well, it's already set to 2, so I just hit enter. And I can select another edge. can fillet it like that. Could also fillet these corners. Let's see if I like that. All right. It's okay. I guess we'll go with that. Go back to conceptual. But well, actually, you know what? I want to place this cushion on top of in position here, and it's a little difficult to do. I guess I could do it from here. Hold on. I could use the move command here, and now I've selected it from this corner, and I turned the chair around so that I could locate this piece or this point, which is important. Then I O-snap to that point, and the cushion goes right there. Now another thing I could have done, if I'm back in this previous view, I could simply have changed it to the X-ray view, and that way I can see all of the edges. So when I use the move command, I can pick that back corner, which otherwise would have been hidden from my view, and then select that point. So it's helpful to use the X-ray view when you can. All right, I'm going to keep the X-ray visual style open, or current, I should say. I'm going to create another rectangle that's say 24 by 8. I'm going to extrude it, EXT, or of course this button right here. Select this, and I'm going to extrude upward 24 inches. That's going to be the back of the chair. Now I will fillet all of the front facing edges. So F enter. The radius is set to 2. So I can do this one at a time. Select an edge, 2 right clicks will give me the 2-inch radius. There we go. Alright, did we miss anything? Let me select it. There we go. That looks pretty good. Alright, so now with I'm going to use the move command, select this object, and let's see, I'll do the same trick. I'll choose the point that's behind the object, and that way I can select right there. Alright, so it's starting to look like a chair, but kind of uncomfortable because the back of the chair is straight vertical. So we're going to tilt it backwards a little bit, and this is where we use the rotate command again. And what I want to do is tilt it back so that the back edge of this cushion goes into the bottom cushion, right? I don't want to tilt it. Let me show you. Rotate, select the object. I don't want to tilt it from this point back here. Oh, see, there, it's rotating around the Z-axis, so I have to pay more attention to this. This is the side I want to rotate against. All right, so I'm going to rotate it like that. But I don't want to do it like this, right? And choosing that back point, because then I have this gap here. If we change the visual style to conceptual, you see that gap. That's not, whoops. That doesn't look right, does it? Right? You see that gap. So I'm going to undo that. And instead I'm going to rotate, select the object, and I'm going to rotate from that point. I'm going to make sure that I have just this plane highlighted because it's about the Z-axis of this plane that I want to rotate. So I click there, and then I tilt back, and I'll only have a slight gap there. And I'll rotate 10 degrees. Oops, it's going in the other direction, so I'm going to undo that. This chair is rotated on the XY plane differently than I had anticipated. So now I hold my cursor on that plane, go over to that edge, and I want to go in that direction. So obviously by typing in 10 degrees, it moved it forward. So I'm going to type in negative 10 degrees. And there, that works. Okay. Let's see what it looks like in shaded. That looks nice. Orbit around a little bit. That looks pretty good. Now, the one thing about this object is that it's made up of a bunch of individual pieces. All right, let's see. So there's 4 or 5 different pieces. One thing you can do now is use what's called the union command. Union, enter. Select all these objects, enter. Now it's one object. And we're done. That's it. So what I'd like you to do is just practice with some of these principles. Send to me your one DWG file that contains both this exercise and the vase exercise, the previous video. And that should be it. And although I also encourage you to experiment a little bit and do some other drawings if you'd like. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it.